Oh, okay.
So you yourself just hit pause. It's fine, and then you're not going to do it on your screen. Like that, and then just go ahead recording
On this computer?
on the cloud.
Oh, record.
So close the system.
Okay.
Thank you, Julie.
All set, Mallory?
All set.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, just a reminder that everyone turn off or silence all cell phones and electronic devices. And just for everyone's information, this meeting is being recorded on YouTube for future reference. This is a virtual meeting of the Committee of Adjustment for the City of Thorold for Thursday, April 21st, 2022. Everyone present will be given an opportunity for or against the applications being heard. For your information, Committee of Adjustment is a public process. Personal information such as the applicant's name, property address, which is reported at a Committee of Adjustment meeting, is public information. Minutes of this Committee of Adjustment meeting will be received by the Thorold City Council at a public council meeting and become part of the public record. Please address your comments and questions through the chair. And I'll just add here that if you have something to say, if you could raise your hand, or if you're on the phone, you'll just have to make an acknowledgement until I acknowledge that you want to be heard. A copy of the decision will be sent to the applicant or agent and to any person who files a written request. Please send an email to the Secretary Treasurer at angela.nesbitt@thorold.ca. Agencies commenting on applications may request that certain conditions be imposed. Voicing objections to these conditions will not adversely affect the committee's decision. The Committee of Adjustment is a quasi-judicial body operating under the Planning Act, the Municipal Act, and the Statutory Powers Procedure Act, as well as various provincial regulations. Sections 45 and 50 of the Planning Act outline the circumstances surrounding the approval of minor variances and the controlling the conveyance of land in Ontario and the prevention of subdivision of land except with governmental approval. Any person, corporation, or public body has a right to appeal either the consent decision or the conditions to the Ontario Land Tribunal within 20 days of the decision notice date. Does any member of this panel have a pecuniary interest in any of the applications being considered at this meeting?
Not I.
I don't, John, or George. Sorry.
Nor do I. May I have a motion from the committee that the agenda be adopted as presented?
I'll move, George. I'll move, George.
Okay.
I can second that.
Okay, thanks, Glenn. Secretary Treasurer, was notice given as required by the Planning Act?
Yes, sir, it was.
Were there any requests for withdrawal or adjournment?
No, sir, there were not.
Okay, can we go with the first application then, D13-10-2022 for 1459 Merrittville?
Which one are you doing, George? Sorry, which one?
Merrittville Highway.
Oh, thank you.
Minor variance application D13-10-2022, 1459 Merrittville Highway. The recommendation is that the minor variances in application D13-10-2022 be approved. Proposal: the subject lands are designated specialty crop in the City of Thorold official plan and are zoned AS specialty crop with EP1 environmental protection 1 and natural heritage feature buffer area in accordance with the zoning bylaw 60/2019. The applicant is proposing the construction of a single detached dwelling and retaining the existing dwelling as an accessory building as shown on the drawing submitted. In order to facilitate the development, as per zoning bylaw 60/2019, the following variances from Part 9 agricultural and rural zones, Part 9.4, Table 9.4 zone provisions are being requested. Bylaw 60/2019, Part 9.4, accessory building and structure to residential uses. 1, minimum front yard. to permit an existing accessory structure to be closer to the street than the front wall of the dwelling. And 2, maximum height, to increase the maximum height of an accessory building and structure from 4.5 meters to 9.1 meters. In conclusion, it is the recommendation of planning staff that the requested minor variances of application D1310-2022 be approved. It is the opinion of planning staff that these meet the prescribed tests set out in the Planning Act, being that 1, the variances are minor in nature from the provisions of the bylaw. 2, the variances are appropriate for the development of the land. 3, the general intent and purpose of the bylaw is maintained. And 4, the general intent and purpose of the official plan is maintained.
Okay, who represents this application?
Myself, Wayne Robinson, and my father, who's a property owner, is here as well.
Okay, is there anything you'd like to add or comment on with respect to the planning report, or that you feel the committee should be aware of?
Not at this time. If there are objections, then I can address those.
Okay, any questions at this point from the any of the committee members?
I have none, George.
I don't have any yet, George. I'd like to hear from anybody's there.
Okay, if any member of the public that would like to comment on this application, if you could state your name and address, and then you can make your comments.
Needs to be unmuted.
Which one?
Mark, George.
Hi there, I'm Mark Georgiev. I'm the adjacent neighbor at 1479 Maryville Highway.
Okay.
I have you with a couple things in respect to this, just in regards to the height of the building. And is the building actually going to be torn down and rebuilt, or I need some more information on that?
Okay, we'll address that to Mr. Robinson.
Yeah.
And I take it you're asking about the existing building, whether it's going to be torn down or not? Okay, Mr. Robinson, can you answer that question?
It seems a little decrepit and unsafe, so I'm just wondering what's happening with that building.
Okay. Mr. Robinson, your comments?
The building will be gone through and constructed. Well, we're going to make it look prettier. We've been stopped by the town, as you are aware, for any construction related matters so far until the permit process is complete. So the intent is to make the building structurally sound and retain the building, which is quasi-historic, but it has been there since the 1800s.
Okay. And I believe the planner, Mallory Smith, can make a comment on that as well with respect to the process.
Yes, hi. So the existing building is intended to remain with some structural changes. However, the existing height is to remain the same, as well as the position to the street. So there's no change in the physical form of the building. I believe the intent is just to renovate it, to improve it.
And I believe you had told me earlier that he would require a building permit.
Yes, so Mr. Robinson will require a building permit for improvements. So it'll also go through a change of use permit to change the use from a dwelling to a accessory building. So our building staff will review the structural integrity of the structure.
Okay. Now, my other concern is at his previous address, and I don't need to really bring that up, but with his pole barn that never was completed, what's the time frame for completion on this and actually follow up to ensure it's completed properly? So we're not looking at an eyesore again for 2, 3, 4 years.
Okay. Unfortunately, with the Committee of Adjustment only deals with requests for variances to the property. That's all subject to the building permit. I don't know if
Yeah,
Mallory
that's
can
my concern with the variance is completion at being the adjacent neighbor, right? Making
To-
sure it's completed.
Yeah, I can't speak to the status of the building on another property. We're only reviewing the height and position of the existing.
Okay. And so the town is approving the height increase and the positioning of this.
So there's no increase in height. It's the existing height of the building.
Okay.
But because it's being changed to an accessory structure,
Yeah, yeah.
the dwelling, there's a different maximum.
Okay. All right.
Okay, are there any other members of the public that have questions that they'd like to bring to the attention of the committee? None. Any of the committee members have any additional comments or questions as a result of this?
I got a question. George. Can you hear me, George?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, this, there seems to be a problem. He started the project and didn't finish it. Is that correct?
No,
Yes.
That
was
that's-
previous.
That was a previous property.
Or previous property? Okay, now for the planner, I got some questions. So there's no problem with a single detached? You got no problem with that?
No,
And the single detached, you have no problem? There's no impact on the streetscape? Height is no problems, and the variants are appropriate, and the bylaws maintained. You're all okay with those?
yes.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, George.
Mr. Jackson, any questions?
I have none, George.
No.
Well-
One more time to the anyone else listening, if they have any questions or comments. Okay, then I'll be looking for a motion from one of the committee members.
I'll move a motion that it be accepted with the I'll make a motion that it be accepted.
I can second that, George.
Okay, and all in favor? Raise your hand. Just three of us. Okay, thank you. Application's been approved.
Thank you.
Okay, then we'll go to the next application, which is
Thank you.
D13-11-2022. Okay, we're ready to go.
Okay. Minor variance application D13-11-2022 for 1374 Chippewa Creek Road. Recommendation that the minor variances in application D13-11-2022 be approved. Proposal: the subject lands are designated rural in the City of Thorold official plan and are zoned RU, rural with natural heritage feature buffer area in accordance with zoning bylaw 60/2019. The applicant is proposing the construction of a 4-car garage with a second dwelling unit above as shown on the drawing submitted. In order to facilitate the development as per zoning bylaw 60/2019, Section 9, agricultural and rural zones, the following variances of the zone provisions are being requested. Table 9.3, lot, building and structure requirements for the agricultural and rural zones, maximum lot coverage. Number 1, to increase the maximum lot coverage from 15% to 16%. And table 9.4, accessory building and structure to residential uses requirements for the agricultural and rural zones, maximum height. Number 2, to increase maximum height from 4.5 meters to 7.5 meters. conclusion, it is the recommendation of planning staff that the requested minor variances of application D1311 2022 be approved. It is the opinion of planning staff that the proposed variances meet the prescribed tests set out in the Planning Act, being that 1, the variances are minor in nature from the provisions of the bylaw. 2, the variances are appropriate for the development of the land. 3, the general intent and purpose of the bylaw is maintained. And 4, the general intent and purpose of the official plan is maintained.
Okay, who represents this application?
I do. And my wife is here also.
Okay, just for the record, could you just state your name and address, please?
Kevin Raba, 1374 Chippewa Creek Road, Port Robinson.
Okay, thank you. Do you have anything you'd like to add with respect to what the Secretary Treasurer read out?
No, nothing at this time. Everything's good so far.
Okay. Any questions or comments from the committee members?
I do.
Sir.
Go ahead.
This application is very minor, 1%. Detached garages in the rear, requested maintenance, variance maintain general intent and purpose of the official plan, and there's no objection, so I'll make a motion that we move this, we accept this application.
Okay, before I ask for a seconder, I'm just going to see if there's any comments from if there's any members of the public that would want to make a comment on this application. Hearing none, I'll ask for a second on the motion from Mr. Pizzo.
I can second that, John. Or
Okay.
George. Sorry.
Okay, all in favor, raise your hand. Okay, motion is passed. Congratulations.
Thank you very much, everybody.
Okay, and then the next application is a consent, D1009 2022.
Consent application D1009 2022, 44 South Main Street. Proposal. An application has been submitted for consent for the purpose of creating a new lot. The subject parcel is shown as Part 1 and 2 on the drawing submitted. Part 1 is proposed to be severed and Part 2 is the retained parcel with the existing single detached dwelling. The subject lands are designated Port Robinson East Special Policy in the City of Thorold Official Plan and are zoned residential first density R1A in accordance with Comprehensive Zoning Bylaw 2140-97. In conclusion, it is the recommendation of planning staff that consent application D1009 2022 be approved, subject to the following conditions. 1, that the applicant provides the Secretary Treasurer with a legal description acceptable to the registrar of the subject parcel, together with a copy of the deposited reference plan, if applicable, for use in the issuance of the certificate of consent. Number 2, that the owner provides a lawyer's undertaking to the satisfaction of the city to forward a copy of documentation confirming the transaction has been carried out, the document to be provided within 2 years of issuance of the consent certificate or prior to the issuance of a building permit, whichever occurs first. Number 3, that a final certification fee of $190 payable to the City of Thorold be submitted to the Secretary Treasurer and that all conditions of consent be fulfilled. And 4, that the payment of 5% of the value of the new lot, being Part 1 of the submitted 7th sketch, be made to the City of Thorold in lieu of dedication of land for park purposes pursuant to Section 5313 of the Planning Act, RSO 1990, as amended. Number 5, that the applicant submit a letter to the satisfaction of the Secretary Treasurer of the Committee of Adjustment from CN Rail that the consent may be registered. Number 6, that the owner provide registration of an environmental easement for operational noise and vibration emissions in favor of CN. Number 7, that the owner dedicate a 4.5 meter by 4.5 meter site triangle to the city of Thorold to the satisfaction of the engineering department. Number 8, that the owner submit a detailed plan and profile drawings of the crossings of the region's 100 millimeter force main to the region for review and approval, and that proof of approval is submitted to the city's secretary treasurer of the Committee of Adjustment. Number 9, that the applicant owner submit a stage 3 archaeological assessment and any required subsequent archaeological assessments as required by the licensed archaeologist or ministry to the Ministry of Heritage, Sport, Tourism, and Culture Industries, MHSTCI, and receive an acknowledgement letter from the MHSTCI copied to Niagara Region, confirming that all archaeological resource concerns have met licensing and resource conservation requirements prior to any development on the site. It should be noted that a subsequent stage 4 study may be recommended to mitigate any adverse impacts the significant archaeological resources found on the site through preservation or resource removal and documentation. If the licensed archaeologist or the ministry recommends/requires a further stage 4 archaeological assessment, this report must also be submitted to and acknowledged by the ministry to the satisfaction of Niagara Region prior to the clearance of this condition. No demolition, grading, or other soil disturbances shall take place on the subject property prior to the issuance of a letter from the MHSTCI through Niagara Region confirming that all archaeological resource concerns have met licensing and resource conservation requirements.
Thank you very much. Okay, I see Mr. DeAngela is about to join the meeting. Okay, who represents this file? If you could state your name and address, please.
Mr. Wilkie, you're just muted if you're trying to talk to us.
Mr. Wilkie, could you?
Is that better? Oh,
yes, it is.
Okay, sorry. Yes, it's John Wilkie at 44 South Main in Port Robinson. And my wife is here as well.
Okay, and you heard the planning report read out by the Secretary Treasurer. Do you have any additional comments you'd like to make?
No.
Okay. Is there any members of the public that would like to make comments about this application? Committee members, anyone have any comments they'd like to, or questions they'd like to raise about this application?
Yeah, George, I've got one, just very minor, I think, but that site triangle that was referred to in the conditions, is that on the severed property or on the retained property? I guess that would go over to Mallory, I guess.
Yes.
So it would be on the corner of Rosedale and South Main on the retained property.
Okay, thanks, Mallory. Okay, are you okay?
Any other questions?
I have no more.
I got a question, George.
Go ahead.
Okay, first of all, I can't believe there's 9 issues and we're still getting this thing approved. What I'm concerned about, what she explained to me, what she means by good general agricultural area. Would the planner please give me an explanation on that?
Sure. So that is the region's official plan designation. So it's just the underlying official plan designation. However, in the city's official plan, it's Port Robinson East. So it is a residential area.
Any other questions, Mr. Pizzo?
No, I don't have any other questions.
Mr. D'Angelo, any questions?
Not at this time.
Okay. Again, I'll just make a call out if there's any members of the public that have questions or comments about this application. Hearing none, I'll ask the committee members for a motion.
I can make that motion, George. I make a motion that D1009-2022 be approved, subject to have them meet the conditions based on the review of the pertinent information and the comments presented at this hearing and having conducted a site visit, and for the reasons stated in the planning report.
Could I get a seconder for that motion, please?
I'll second it, George.
Thank you. All in favor? Okay, the motion's passed. Thank you very much, everyone.
Just one little added comment here, George.
Go ahead.
All this, I'd like to comment on the structure that's existing. To Mr. Wilkie, I guess his name is. Very impressive. It's a very nice looking building. The logs are quite massive there, and it's like I say, it's impressive. So.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Members of the public, you're welcome to leave the meeting now. Madam Secretary Treasurer, any new business?
Not new business. Well, actually, just to, I guess, verbally tell you guys, we are very short-staffed in our planning division. As you guys are well aware, I've tried to keep you updated through email. So we are currently without a director of planning and development services. We are currently without a manager of planning. And the end of next week, we are losing our senior planner. So that will leave Mallory, our intermediate planner, who is contracting in while our other senior planner is off tending to her little boy. Our GIS technician, and he doesn't really take care of any of our planning application files. He kind of helps us with municipal addressing and helps the building division and the engineering division with that as well. And then me. So, and I'm kind of the jack of all trades in the division. So we're a busy, busy bunch, I must say.
And I'll hope that you guys can keep it all together.
Do my best.
I think Mallory and I will work very well.
Okay. Okay, if there's nothing else from any of the committee members, just to let you know that the minutes from the last meeting aren't completed yet, so they'll be brought forward at the next meeting and we can approve them at that point. And if there's nothing else, I just need a motion to adjourn, and the next meeting is scheduled for May 19th, 2022. Are there any applications?
Yes, sir. We have 3 minor variance applications and 3 consent applications.
Okay, so bring a lunch.
Yes.
Okay, motion to adjourn.
I can make that motion, George.
Okay. Thank you. And Mr. Jander was second.